Hey, what's up, everybody? Gonna do a couple reviews, one after the other. They won't be in the same video, of course. You'll have to tune into the other video. But this one's gonna be kind of a, I don't know how you say, kind of the battle of the budget, multi-tools. So you've already seen the video here I've got of the Roxon 803 something Elite. And now a friend, thank you, Margot, gave me another Leatherman. And this is the Wingman. So this one's around $45. This one's around $65. So there is a price difference, but when you consider made in China versus made in USA, price difference not that big. It is stainless steel. It's the Wingman. Comes with a Leatherman sheath. I did already take the pocket clip off because I just don't like pocket clips on these. They're bulky enough, so I like to take it off and just slip it in the pocket. But let's see what you get for an American made for 65 bucks. So this one, size-wise, first, let's compare. Quite a bit smaller. It's a good bit shorter. It's thinner this way. And it's a little narrower across. This one definitely has a lot more bulk to it and also weighs a couple ounces more. I don't have the exact specs on this one. This one's probably down towards the low end of like high, 6.9 or 7.2. This one's up over 8. So it's you notice it. It's noticeably heavier. Not detrimentally so. You know, you can still carry both in your pocket if you want. But it's a good bit thinner. It sits in the hand nice. It's got nice contours to it. But you can almost, palm it and have it swallow up your hand as opposed to, kind of sticking out on both ends. So if going incognito and in your pocket is important, give this one a look. As far as the main pliers, let's take a look. Now, some things that the Roxon does have is it does have replaceable carbide cutting bits. It is spring-loaded, as is this Leatherman. My other Leathermans, including the Arc that I just ordered, are not spring-loaded. So if you like spring-loaded and you don't want to spend, tons of money, but you want American-made, you want a name brand like Leatherman versus this one off Amazon that you've never heard of, this could be a good consideration. This has the removable carbide bits. This one does not. However, these ones tend to not break. That's the thing. These are replaceable, but, a lot of people do chip or crack or break them and things like that. It is good that you can replace them when you're done, as opposed to if you broke these, then you'd have to go buy a new one. But you don't really see much of these breaking. So I don't know why they've gone to these removable bits, if that's just, the trend, and so everyone's jumping on board because it sounds like a good selling point, or if there were problems with these. I don't know. They've been selling them for 40 years, and I never really saw a problem with these. I would imagine if you were cutting hardened nails or metal or something, you could dent that, but you do that to a regular pair of diagonal cutters and stuff in your garage if you weren't, if you're trying to cut something you shouldn't. But I like the size. It's very comfortable, fits in the hand, folds out nice, sits nice and small in your pocket. Even smaller than the Victorinox. As far as what tools it has. Now, this one does have a smaller tool set. I will say that. All the tools are located on the inside. So if you want to access those, you do have to open them up. But what you do get out of this is a nice, pretty stout 2D screwdriver, Phillips head. Then you've got a flathead screwdriver / small pry bar. It's pretty thick, stout steel. They don't lock in, but they do have a pretty strong detent that they click in, so it's a slip joint, but it's one that's pretty stout. You got to really put some pressure on it to unlock it. On the other side, what have we got? On the other side, we've got 3 tools. We have our can opener, which I believe will also work as a bottle cap opener. You've got a metal file with a very small measuring, it's only good for measuring a couple centimeters or an inch, but you do have a decent metal file with a small screwdriver on the end. And then you have this thing, which I think is kind of like a package opener. So if you don't want to use the whole blade, which we will get to in a moment, you can use that sharp edge and just hook and cut the tape or cut zip ties or, little things like that. Seatbelt cutter maybe in a pinch. And then on the outside, you do have a main blade that's got a hollow grind, and it's a combo of a straight edge as well as serrated. And this one does lock open with a liner lock, so that should not close on your hand like the Victorinox. But it gives you that little bit of a nice little solid grip. You got a nice little locking blade. That stuff on the edge, that's from me. It's some polish from me stropping it yesterday. There we go. Nice and sharp. Slice, did a push test, everything like that. And then on the other side, you've got, let's close this, you've got a pair of scissors. So once you pull them out, pull the spring over, and boom, you got a pretty decent, nice size set of scissors. So seems to work really well. I was cutting paper and things earlier in an effort to keep this these videos shorter. I'm not going through the whole test and showing all those things. Did them off camera so I could just talk about them. But it's a nice little set of pliers. Really small, compact, fits in your pocket. This one has more tools on it. So if you're looking in the budget category, on this one, you have a bigger blade. You've got, let's see, where the shit is the blade? Yeah, here. You got a big D2 blade, which does lock open. You have a full saw, which that one does not have. So this one does have a more robust tool set. You've also got a whistle here and a fire starter. The problem with this one is, though, you need another tool to pop the damn thing out. It's in there so tight that you can't get it out without having a screwdriver and another tool, which of course you can't take that screwdriver and do it. So you almost need a separate tool or knife to pop that out. So cool for including it, not cool for the design that makes it almost unusable. You've got a nice little, this is kind of clever. You don't have to get in there with your fingernails and try to pull them out. You can just push that. And then you have your 4 tools you can choose from. You got, well, actually more than that, because you got a small file, but it's not a hacksaw, so it's very limited use. But you do have a screwdriver. You have another screwdriver with some wire strippers. You have an awl, which that one doesn't have. And then you have a combination of can opener and bottle opener and small screwdriver on one thing. And these all lock into position. So once it's open, it's locked. Push that to unlock it. So this one does have a couple more tools, but it's also a bit more bulky. And in your hand, because this side is kind of big and chunky, it does feel a little odd. As a set of pliers, this feels more like a pair of pliers you'd grab in your garage. The action is smoother. The spring is nice. Limited wobble. And here's another thing that I like about the way Leatherman does it versus the Roxon. When you look at the blade, it's up on the end that's really secure. So when you look at, there's always going to be a little bit, some have more than others, but there's a little bit of play, right? It just is. When you have the knife mounted on the end that has the play, you're putting forces up here, and see how this can move around. And so your grip kind of wiggles and shifts. I mean, it doesn't necessarily prevent the cutting. It just doesn't give you what feels like as secure of a grip on the Roxon, because here's the end that's mounted to the pliers. That doesn't move at all. That is rock solid. Over here, though, it does wiggle, and that's the end you're holding, and so you can feel the thing as your hand moves. You can feel that kind of shifting in your grip. Whereas with the Leatherman, it's solid. The lockup, it's on this end. This end doesn't move. This end has a little bit of wiggle, and that's why I kind of like the way Leatherman puts the the blade on that end. It is one-handed opening for that tool at least, and that's the same as the Roxon. You've got a one-handed opening, and it's the same as my other Leathermans. I like having one-handed opening blades because it's if you're trying to make the transition from pocket knives to a multi-tool, the knife is probably the thing you're going to use the most. And so having to, like with the Victorinox, get your thumbnail in there, and I've been breaking my thumbnail down, so I have almost no thumbnail left trying to get the damn thing open. I love the Victorinox as a tool. I just don't like the whole nail nick and two-handed opening and stiff springs thing. I'm hoping that breaks in over time and loosens up a little bit. But having the ability to open these blades, which is what I'm going to use most often to open a package or cut something or whatever, and then being able to just put it away just like a normal pocket knife. That's really cool. I like this one. It's not one that I considered. I'm actually really happy. It's funny, Margot was over yesterday doing a delayed Christmas gift exchange thing, and she was like, she hands me this. She's like, well, I think you've already got 3 of these probably. And I'm like, What did she give me that I got 3 of? I didn't realize I had my 3 Leatherman tool type tools sitting on the table. And she was like, damn it, I got him something he's already got. But I like this. This is actually really cool. I've got my bigger ones that have bigger tool sets, but they take up more space in your pocket. This is little. I mean, this is not much bigger than, I mean, a normal pocket knife. And the fact that you at least have the bases covered. You got serrations, you got a hollow grind flat edge, you got a decent pair of scissors, you got screwdrivers and things of that nature here. You got this pick thing for opening packages and stuff like that. And then what was on this side? Then you had, did I even show these in the thing before? Oh, over here. Yeah, you got your screwdriver and a pry bar and whatchamacallit, Phillips screwdriver. That's some cool stuff. Like you got all your bases covered. Yes, it doesn't have a saw. It doesn't have it doesn't have a large metal file, but you have different knives for different purposes. Sometimes you have just a small pen knife because you're going in discreet. You're going to be in an office area. Sometimes you've got, the giant tactical blade if you're normally used to carrying a gun and you can't. So you're like, okay, well, I'll have something here that I could use defensively in a pinch if I had to. So you have different knives for different purposes. Some are bigger for skinning game and camping. Other ones are just, small pocket knives for, whatever. So it's nice having different multi-tools for different purposes. I would say this one does have the more robust tool set. So if you're looking at the budget lines, and you don't care so much about a $19 or $20 difference. I'm going by Amazon prices. I don't know what Bass Pro or some retail stores charge. So this is just going by, and I'll put links to both on Amazon. But the Roxon has more stuff, but it doesn't feel as sturdy. It does wiggle and move around a little bit more. It is, if you have smaller hands, this is big, and it's it's not uniform. So one size is kind of like filling up your hand a little too much, and then the other side isn't enough. It works, but it feels a little awkward. But for the money, I think this is fantastic. However, the construction on this, the fact that it's U.S. made, the materials are probably going to be better. On this, I think the fit and finish is a little bit nicer. There's nothing wrong with this. I like this. I think for under $50, if you say, look, $50 is my outright limit, pick up one of these. You got a nice tool set and you got a lot of cool stuff, but it is a bit beefy. It is a bit biggish and squarish, whereas this one has a subtle contour. This one has, again, a contour here. These edges are all nice and rounded because those are the edges you're going to be using the pliers. And it feels really comfortable to use it this way, to take the side with the blade, have that in your hand because that curve follows this hand, and then this curves for your fingers. That's a really comfortable to use. I think if you were really putting pressure on there, it's not uncomfortable. It doesn't flex as much in the handles when you grip it. It really is tight when you're using the pliers here. There's not much flex. This has more, and it moves around a lot. Again, works, but you give up a couple tools, but you do pick up in quality, fit and finish, and it's nice and small. And these contours, it's very comfortable to hold. When you flick that knife out, you got a nice handle there. Like you could cut for a while. There's no real hot spots. Now I did take off the pocket clip because there was a hot spot, and they're all like that. I take the pocket clips off of all my multi-tools. They're because of their nature, they're already bulky enough. I don't want to add to that, so I take it off. And as soon as you do this thing, I mean, that's a really comfortable handle. Much better than this one. This one is a little bit, if you used to use a gun analogy, if you're shooting Glocks, yeah, they work, but it is a bit like holding a 2x4. And see how my fingers don't touch I'm wrapping my hand around it, but I feel like I'm locked in more on that. This one is a bit like holding a 2x4. And I have fairly large hands. If you've got smaller hands, this is going to feel awkward to you. It's going to feel a little bit weird. So if you're a smaller guy, you got smaller hands, you don't have an XL or 2XL hand, you might want something like this. And certainly this is going to disappear in your pocket better. So this is the Wingman. I like it a lot. That's a cool little tool. So I will carry this. It's one of those things where you figure, like What sneakers or shoes do you wear? Well, am I going to the office? Am I going hiking? Am I going driving, right? You have different knives for different purposes. You should have different multi-tools. There's going to be some times where you're like, I know I'm going to be out working in the garage or doing something, and you grab the bigger one that's got the extra tools. When you just need the knife and you might need a pair of pliers and screwdrivers and some basic stuff, and you just want to go a little more minimalist, that's where something like this comes in. And I love that they're making this at a good price point that doesn't break the bank. You can afford to have multiple tools for different occasions. So that is the Wingman. In our battle for the budget here, you know, if you want the most tools for the money, for the cheapest amount possible, Roxon. Get the Elite, get the new one, the updated one with D2, not the older one. Apparently they had some heat treat issues on the old ones and the new one is much improved. But if you want more quality and you're willing to sacrifice a couple of the tools, but you pick up quality, you pick up less weight, less size, and more ergonomic, Wingman, baby. It's very cool. All right, everyone. Try to keep them less than 20 minutes, and we've achieved that. Not by much, though, so later.